Welcome back to Developing You, where it's all about real people, real questions, real answers, and solutions that you can apply. So let's have a little look what we've got today. Before we start, I just want to say to you that if you haven't already subscribed, please do. And also take advantage of the full 3-day course that's available in the details below. So that's about it, really. Let's get started. Who have we got today? Okay. Now, this is an interesting question. How can I stay focused when my mind is flitting from task to task? How do I stick at things I'm doing? I start something full of good intentions, then it just drifts off and rarely I pick it up again. I'd like to stop procrastinating and finishing what I start. Okay. It's quite tricky when I don't have the full information on this question, but I will do my best to answer it for you. Okay. Now, sometimes what can happen is there's this concept, before we get any further into it, of procrastinating. Okay, procrastination. Often we're telling ourselves that we are procrastinating, we're putting something off. And sometimes we are putting something off. You know, if there's an action that we need to take and we feel really uncomfortable about it, we can actually avoid it and do something else. You know, even though it's something we need to do that's on our path of growth, we can avoid it. But also what can happen is we're telling ourselves we're procrastinating, we're telling ourselves we're sabotaging, we're telling ourselves we're avoiding, when actually these things may or may not be true. We can get a little bit caught up in stories, telling ourselves we're lazy, we procrastinate, we self-sabotage, because these are words that we've heard relating to other people, and then we've decided perhaps that's what we're doing. But it isn't always the case. I worked with somebody last year, and they were telling me that they continually procrastinated, very similar to this question. And what happened was, when I started to talk to her, I realised that she wasn't actually acting in the direction she truly wanted to go in. She would start something and she wouldn't have the energy to follow through with it because actually it wasn't the right direction for her. So that's the first thing. You have to be sure that the direction you're heading in is the direction that you need to be going in. But she also struggled because there were certain things she needed to do that she didn't want to do. She had a fear of paperwork. She didn't enjoy doing paperwork. So she would put off any type of paperwork because obviously it didn't feel comfortable to her. It wasn't something she enjoyed doing, and it was almost like she had a bit of a block relating to paperwork. So what we did was we took the paperwork and we changed how she felt about paperwork. We made paperwork actually be something she really enjoyed doing. She wanted to embrace. And so it changed how she did the work she did. It meant that she was more confident going in the direction she wanted to go in. And it took her another step further. Once she got there, once she was doing that job, she realised that actually wasn't what she wanted at all. But she needed to take those steps in order to stand where she was and realise there was something else she wanted. So it is important sometimes to do these things that feel uncomfortable and see them through to the end. But it's also important to know if you're actually taking action in the right direction. So what I would say, going back to that question, how do I stay focused when my mind is flitting from task to task? Okay, it's important if you have tasks to do, I'd suggest you do this. Imagine that you're sitting and around you there are rings going out like that, okay? And even get yourself a piece of paper and draw yourself on the piece of paper and draw the rings around it. Then just sit quietly for 5 or 10 minutes with your eyes shut. Just being present in yourself, just connecting to your breath, breathing in, breathing out. If your mind wanders to something, just bring it back to being present with yourself. Do this for 10 minutes. Don't get agitated if your mind does wander and come back again. Bring your mind back. Just go back to the breath. If you manage it for a minute, fantastic. You know, it doesn't matter. Don't punish yourself because you don't get it first time. And then take a pen And on that piece of paper where you've drawn your image of yourself, like that, and you've got your rings around it, going out like this. This is not a major art piece, okay? Then what you want to do is just write down the tasks that come to mind and put them in importance, prioritize them. If they're close to you, they're a priority. If they're further away from you, they're not. Don't overthink it, just draw them where they are in relation to you. Then when you look at the piece of paper again, you can see which of those tasks are your priority. So then you need to take the first task that's closest to you and act upon it. That way you're not flitting from one task to another, you're the center of everything, and then you're just taking action on whatever task is necessary you've prioritized already. You know what you need to do. But when you sit and do nothing, it's quite easy to think, I need to do that, and 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 so on and so forth. So that's a really great technique if you want to be able to prioritize a task. I'd suggest you do that. And let's have a little look at any more of this question, see if there's any more we can answer. I'm trying to find my glasses. And so, you know, this idea, how do I stick at things I'm doing? The answer to that is sometimes you're not meant to stick at something. You've got to give yourself enough time to know, is that the direction I'm going in? And then you have to sit with yourself and ask yourself, what's my next step? And prioritize that next step or task, and then act on that one. And then do the process again if you need to, or do as many tasks as you can until you seem to run out of time that day, and then the next day do it again. 10 minutes, come back, prioritize, and therefore you've got your tasks. Some of us don't work well with lists. Some of us, me included, need to see things, life around us, and an expansion of where we are. So I hope that that answers your question. If it doesn't quite answer your question, then please leave me a comment below so that I can go into it in more detail. If I know a little bit more about you and what you're actually asking, then obviously I can make my answers more focused and more directed. But thank you very much for that question. I really appreciate these questions because they certainly help me to help you, and that's really what it's all about. You know, if you have any questions, please send them to me. Send me a video or an audio, or just write comments below. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. And make sure you do look at that free 4-day course, because you could find that it supports you to develop you further. I look forward to seeing you again really soon. Bye for now.